That was also the worst iteration of Trunks.
Yeah.
The blue-haired future timeline Trunks, like that.
Dude, he honestly made future Trunks look like a bitch.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we'll just go and exist in another universe.
And then they even tried to
Copies of ourselves.
Remember when they reanimated his Trunks going Super Saiyan for the
Yes,
first time?
and his hair didn't even change. I was bitching about that.
No,
I
it
was bitching
changed.
about that recently.
It literally just cut from like blue to yellow. That's it. There was no emotion. It was just a static picture. It was the worst thing I've ever seen, and I wish it didn't exist because I immediately went back to watch like the movie version of it, the one from 1990 whatever, 4 or 5 maybe, and it looks a million times better. So if you've never seen the two, watch the Dragon Ball Super like Trunks going Super Saiyan moment, and then compare that to the history of Trunks moment, and then tell me that Super doesn't look like shit.
Oh, I was talking about the when he went Super Trunks and used that form to
Beat
Like a big
Vegeta.
bug
like
form.
yeah, to as a feint for Vegeta.
Yeah.
His hair, he got like the crazy wild berserk hair
But it looked
from
so
when his
dumb.
hair was long.
But his hair was
But
short.
His hair was short.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, you're
Yeah, and it
right.
pissed me off. I was like, what the fuck is this?
That doesn't make any sense. I never even thought about that.
No, why are you being lazy, bro?
Yeah.
had-
You're
shorter
reusing
hair.
your assets. Come on, man. It can't be that hard.
No, yeah. Like, I'd rather wait longer for just better looking stuff. Like, Dragon Ball has always been a good looking show, in my opinion. And the fights are what make it so popular. But they just, like, they cut so many corners in Dragon Ball Super. And
They really
bothers me.
did. And like, when I think back on it, like, as a memory, I'm like, man, that was great. It was awesome. I remember watching week to week, everybody
Yeah.
being hyped. But I also remember, like, that little sting of disappointment at the end of the episode when it's like, that's it.
Yeah.
Like, that's we just got a bunch of bullshit still frames and like key blasts being shot with lines and a
And just-
character model moving. Like,
Dude, the
that
character
was it.
models were ugly. Like, they just looked ugly, in my opinion.
It was bad. It was bad.
I'm not a fan. I think.
I rewatched some recently and like
I'm so sorry.
see, I was watching it for like the character interaction.
Okay.
Right, like Beerus
Yeah.
eating his food and doing that stuff, like Vegeta being like, "Oh God, we gotta go do this and that."
Yeah, like, those moments are fine.
It's fun. I was watching that, but then like I skipped ahead and was like, you know what? Let me like watch some of the Tournament of Power,
Mhm.
right? And I picked a good point because it was like I forget exactly who was fighting. I forget what was going on, but like a couple people were fighting, and then they break off, and another fight happens, and then another engagement happens.
Yeah.
Like 3 or 4 different ones in the same episode.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, this is really good. And I watched the next episode, and it was shit. I was like, okay, I forgot this was the experience.
Yeah.
Like, there's some really big highlights in Super, some really
spaced out.
amazing things, but it is man, it is rough getting through everything that you have to get through to get to those.
Yeah, I think you bring up a really good point because we did watch it week to week. So like in between like each episode, I think we just genuinely forgot at how bad it looked, and then each time it would be like a hard like reset. We'd just be, all right, this is the new episode. We weren't really comparing it, but when you watch it back to back to back like that, if you're binging Dragon Ball Super, it is the most inconsistent like animated Dragon Ball thing I've ever seen.
Oh yeah.
Especially the Tournament of Power. The Tournament of Power is like okay animation, a little bit better animation, dog shit animation, really good animation, okay animation, really bad animation. Oh, a really good fight. Like, it's up and down. It gives me fucking whiplash, dude. And
There are moments though where it's like, Jesus, oh my God, this is phenomenal.
Yeah.
This is like a movie.
do you
This is what it should
remember?
look like.
Do you remember the Goku versus Caulifla and Kale fight? Like when he was still kind of like getting his energy back, and he goes Super Saiyan, then Super Saiyan God, right before Caulifla shows up. That episode was animated so well. That's because they got like a third party, like a freelance animator. I forgot his name. I'll look it up and find it later. But he would do random episodes here and there. He also did like a good Frieza episode before the Tournament of Power. His style is so like obvious that it's him that like when you watch the next episode, you can tell, oh, he wasn't working on this episode, was
Ah,
he?
shit.
I don't want to notice that when I'm watching. I want it to be a seamless like show. Like
an actual a seamless
like an
experience.
experience.
Don't break me out of it.
I think Daima has been killing it in that department. Every episode looks like the episode before, and you can tell they put a little bit more effort into the fight right now with like the Tamagotchi thingy. But yeah, it doesn't look wildly different than the other stuff. It's been consistently really good animation, I think, with like a slight peak during the fight. And then I'm sure next week is going to look just as good as it's been the last 3 weeks. So that's what I'm talking about. Like
with peaks.
Yeah, the consistency with peaks is what I think every animation studio should aspire to. And I know that it's not always the animator's fault. I understand that the animation studios are shit and they don't treat their employees right. They don't give them the time that they need. But that's the problem. Like, that's what I'm saying. I think they're just so willing to pump out like every anime, every episode of, you know, whatever, just to compete with whatever's hot right now, that they lose like a lot of like the passion and like the actual, like what makes it special in my opinion.
Just think what that means. Like, we can all agree, not every One Piece episode always hit, but a 6-month break, dear fucking God, imagine.
I hope that it I hope that it
Well,
brings
they've
some
been working on
consistency.
We've been doing Daima too, so.
I'm sure there will be a
I'm sure
department.
the time has kind of like pivoted
I
from
mean,
that.
I'm sure they're working on it.
Yeah.
No, I'm telling you, when they come back, I guarantee that first episode's probably gonna be fucking gas.
I mean, One Piece had been doing a really good job with its animation.
Yeah,
The
for
last
sure.
episode that it left off on was
I think everything like
yeah.
outside of Egghead. I mean, Egghead looked great in my opinion. I think Egghead's been like a
Yeah,
really
It's just
well
a little more
animated.
stylized than everything outside of it.
Yeah, and so some people like when I talk to other people that have their opinions about the animation and everything, I notice that like some people don't understand the difference between a stylized animation and just like bad animation, right? You can not like a certain style of animation, but I don't think that makes it bad, right? Versus bad animation, I think is universally accepted as, oh, that does not look good. That like you
That's
can see
sloppy.
it's sloppy, exactly, right? I think Egghead is very stylized, and it's not everyone's cup of tea. I understand that. Like Wano, there are some parts where it wasn't really my cup of tea because I like it when it's a little more toned down. But that's just me. Like, it's my personal preference. That doesn't mean it's bad animation.
I mean, no, there was some bad animation in Wano.
There was some bad.
There was some bad animation. There was a few times where it felt, you know, little
why did Kaido look like that?
CGI dragon Kaido, that was the worst of it. in
It
my
literally
opinion.
looked like a shit crawling across the screen.
Yeah, that was a bad decision.
Yeah.
Mr.
Mr. Hanky is in One Piece.
I understand that they were trying to like say, you know, again, cut corners and be productive and stuff. I understand that it's not a seasonal show. God, that is just like such an obvious.
Bro, all the different ways they drew Kaido. I feel like Kaido is the most inconsistent thing
Yeah.
in Wano.
Agreed.
Usually it's Luffy's hat.
yeah. Also true. Yeah. Sometimes it's huge. Sometimes it's like it makes enough sense.
The color of it's never the same.
Yeah. But yeah, like that's something that I think more people should talk about is like the consistency of animation can be more important than like the peaks, right? Like I don't want it to peak here just for it to dip down here for another 3 episodes, you know? I'd rather take a peak here instead of here if it's consistently like,
Oh yeah, I'd rather have it just like a nice little whoa.
Yeah.
Back to, you know.
yeah, don't give me whiplash. This
Yeah.
is ridiculous.
Don't go below like I guess what would be a standard.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, the bar has already been raised so high anyway. So
That's bad.
that's why I'm really enjoying all these different animation studios leaning more towards like a stylistic art style for their animation over like, you know, the basic art style that we be getting. Okay, like Daima, right? It's Dragon Ball Z, right? It's Dragon Ball. It's very like clean cut, straight edges, streamlined, like ready to go.
Yeah.
I'm fine with that. They're doing a lot of good with that. But that's also what I would expect out of Dragon Ball Z.
Fair.
But then we're getting shows like Hell's Paradise.
I miss that show.
Ita Dendidi's No Only Peace. You know, unfortunately, it's done. But the fucking what's that? The summer anime with the shadow people.
Summertime rendering.
Oh,
Summertime rendering. Like
They look more
stylized.
Yeah.
obviously anime style, but like it's stylized in a certain way that like makes it interesting, makes it different. Makes
Yeah,
it
I
stand
think
out. I like that.
Exactly, dude. Yeah, so many people like just think of anime as like one specific style, and I'm like, no, there's a million different styles. Especially like, for example, like Kill la Kill and Dandadan have a very specific style, right? Works for those types of shows.
Speaking of Kill la Kill and Don to Don,
I saw the clip. I know y'all talk shit about me.